5070, and we have variant 11. You know, it's paper 1, multiple choice, and the time is 1 hour. You have to answer all the questions. There will be 40 questions with 4 choices, A, B, C, and D. So choose the one you think is the right response. You have to write in soft pencil. Do not use correction fluid. Do not write on any barcodes. You may use calculator. The total mark for this paper is 40. The periodic table is printed in the question paper. So let's start. Here's number 1. 4 gases are listed. We have number 1 CH4, number 2 NH3, number 3 CO2, number 4 N2. What is the order of their rate of diffusion at room temperature and pressure? So in the choices, they have started from slowest, ending on fastest. For this, you need MR of these. In order to calculate the MR, we need to know the nucleon number of these elements. For example, in CH4 we have carbon and hydrogen. Carbon, the nucleon number is 12. For hydrogen it's 1. So CH4 means 12 plus 4 multiplied by 1. You will get 16. What about NH3? Nitrogen, here it's nitrogen. 14 is the nucleon number of nitrogen. So we have 14 plus, we have 3 atoms of hydrogen, so multiply 3 by 1. So it will be 17. What CO2? Oxygen. Here's oxygen. 16 is the nucleon number of oxygen. So we have 1 carbon, so I will add 12 for 1 hard carbon atom. There are 2 oxygen atoms, so 2 multiplied by 16, which becomes 32. 32 plus 12, you will get 44. What about N2? Nitrogen is 14, so 14 multiplied by 2 will get 28. So slowest, it must be carbon dioxide. This must be slowest. So you have to start with 3. So C must be the right answer in this case. All the other choices are incorrect. For convenience, I am reading the sequence. 3. After 3 you have 4, which is nitrogen. Then you have ammonia. Number 2 NH3. Number 1 CH4. So C must be the right answer in this case. Number 2. Sodium is added to water and a chemical reaction occurs. Hydrogen and aqueous sodium hydroxide are produced. Which row describes the reactants and products in this reaction? So if you will write the reaction, it will be like this. Sodium plus water. Product will be aqueous sodium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. So you write plus hydrogen. So we have reactants and products that are elements. So reactant products that are elements. Sodium is the element and hydrogen is the element. Sodium and hydrogen are the elements here. B must be the right answer here. I am checking the other responses also. Reactant product that are compounds. That's correct. Water is compound. Reactants and products that are mixtures. We have aqueous sodium hydroxide. This is also correct. So B must be the right answer. Other choices are incorrect. Because in A, if you see, reactants and products, they have mentioned only hydrogen. And for compounds, they have added sodium along with water. So A can't be the right answer. What about C? In C, you have a mixture. This is mixture. This is not element. This is mixture. So this is no need to see the other details of this. Just straight away omit it. D, sodium and water. Sodium is element, water is not element. So this is also incorrect. So B is the final and right answer in this case. Number 3. An atom of element X is shown. Which element is X? So they have mentioned electrons. How many electrons are there? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 electrons. What about protons? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 protons. Neutrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 4 protons means 4 will be the proton number of this element. So if you look at the periodic table, so we have beryllium, the one which have 4 as its proton number. So beryllium is the correct response here. So A must be the right answer in this case. The choices are incorrect. Number 4. Which definition of isotopes is correct? You know that there are different atoms of same element. So atoms of different elements, both of this A and B incorrect. Either C is correct or D is correct. The atoms of the same element that have different number of electrons. This is also incorrect. Isotopes, they have same number of electrons, not different. So this is also incorrect. D must be the right answer. Atoms of the same element that have different numbers of neutrons. So this is correct. Number 5. A pure sample of element X has a relative atomic mass of 51.8. The sample consists of 3 isotopes. The table shows the relative masses and percentage abundances of 2 of the isotopes. What is the relative mass of the third isotope? So let's consider this third isotope as C. Third isotope. So first of all, I need to find the percentage abundance of this isotope. So 40 plus 20 is 60. So 100 minus 60 gives 40. So 40 will be the percentage abundance of C. Percent of C. So I want to calculate the relative mass of the third isotope. So we have 40% of isotope with mass of 50, 20% of isotope with relative mass of 55, plus 40C, and the relative mass is 51.8. Moving on further, so we have 100 Celsius. So 40 multiplied by 50, we'll get 200. $2,000, not 200. Plus 20 multiplied by 55, 1100, plus 40C, or 51.8 multiplied by 100 will get 5180. 5180. We have 3100 plus 40C is equal to 5180, or C is equal to 5180 minus 3100 divided by 40. 5180 minus 3100 divided by 40. So 52 must be the right answer. B must be the right answer in this case. Moving to next MCQ. Magnesium reacts with oxygen to form magnesium oxide. Which row is correct? Now we have structure of Mg, structure of O2, Mg2 plus and O2 minus. So Mg is metal. It must be having giant lattice. So either A is correct or C is correct. B and D is incorrect. What about structure of O2? O2 is simple molecules. So again, A and C is correct. What about Mg2 plus? Mg2 plus is cation and O2 minus is anion. C must be the right answer in this case. A is incorrect. Next MCQ, which is number 7. Which statement about solid calcium chloride is correct? A. Remember, solid calcium chloride is ionic compound. A, it conducts electricity. This is incorrect because solid ionic compound does not conduct electricity. B, it has a low melting point. Ionic compounds have high melting points. This is also incorrect. C, it has an ionic lattice structure. This must be correct. For your convenience, I am checking the last statement. It is insoluble in water. This is also incorrect. So most of the ionic compounds are soluble in water. So in this case, the chlorides, all chlorides are soluble in water. All chlorides are soluble except LMS. L for lead, M for mercury, and S for silver. These chlorides are not soluble, so it must be soluble in water. So C must be the right answer in this case. Number 8. Which description of metallic bonding is correct? A. The electrostatic attraction between negative ions. Now they are saying negative ions in a letter. This is incorrect. Straight away, no need to read the last point. We can't have negative ions here. In metallic bonding, we are having positive ions. So if you look at the statement B also, the electrostatic attraction between negative ions. So A and B must be incorrect. Either C is correct or D is correct. One of this is the correct response. I am reading the statement. C, the electrostatic attraction between positive ions and negative ions in a lattice. This is incorrect. You have C of electrons, not negative ions. So D must be the right answer in this case. 9. The ions Ca2 plus and PO4 3 minus combine to form an ionic compound. What is the formula of the compound? So we have Ca, that's calcium, and PO4, which is phosphate. So these are the charges. In order to predict the formula, ignore the charges. These subscripts, these are the subscripts now. Now these subscripts will be exchanged. So the final formula must be Ca3 bracket PO4 whole twice. So D must be the right answer in this case. All the other choices are incorrect. 10. Magnesium reacts with aqueous copper 2 sulfate to form copper and aqueous magnesium sulfate. What is the correct equation for this reaction? Now here, magnesium being more reactive than copper displaces this copper from its compound, which is copper 2 sulfate here. So we will be getting magnesium sulfate and copper. Copper 2 sulfate means the formula must be Cu is carrying +2 charge here, or +2 is the oxidation number here. Sulfate also carries -2 charge, so ignore the charges. So these subscripts will be simplified, and the final formula must be CuSO4. So either A is correct or C is correct. Both B and D is incorrect. So in A, we have Mg plus CuSO4 gives Cu plus MgSO4. This looks correct to me, but for your convenience, I am checking the choice C also. 2Mg plus CuSO4 gives Cu plus Mg2SO4. This is also incorrect. The reason is that magnesium, here's magnesium. Magnesium is in group 2. The valency of magnesium or oxidation number is +2. So if you predict the formula between magnesium and sulfate ion, it will be like this. The subscript will be simplified further and you will get what? MgSO4. So A must be the right answer in this case. 11. An organic compound has an MR of 88. What is the molecular formula of this compound? So we need to calculate the MR of all of this. So in A, we have, in all these we are having carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. So carbon, nucleon number of carbon is 12, oxygen is 16, hydrogen is 1. Carbon 12, oxygen 16, hydrogen 1. So in case of A, 10 multiplied by 12 will get 120, plus 20 multiplied by 1 will get 20, plus we have 1 atom of oxygen, so we will get 16 here. So 120 plus 20 plus 16, this can't be the correct answer. The reason is that, so already we have seen that the number, the MR of carbon is bigger than this one, so it can't be the right one. Moving to next one, choice B, C5. 5 multiplied by 12 we have 60, plus 10 hydrogen, so we have 10, oxygen we have 16, so 60 plus 10 plus 16, so we have 6, 7, 8, 86. It's also incorrect. What about C? 4 multiplied by 12 we have 48, plus we have 8 hydrogen. What about oxygen? 16 multiplied by 2, 60 multiplied by 2 is 32, so 48, 32 and 8, 8 plus 8, 16, 16 plus 2, 18, 4 plus 3 plus 1, 88. So C must be the right answer, no need to work for D. 12. 10 centimeter cube of hydrogen gas is mixed with X centimeter cube of chlorine gas. The equation for the reaction that takes place is shown. All the hydrogen reacts. The total volume of gas at the end of the reaction is 40 centimeter cube. So they are saying the total volume of the gas at the end of the reaction is 40 centimeter. All measurements are at room temperature and pressure. What is the value of X? So they are saying all the hydrogen reacts, which means that hydrogen is the limiting reactant here, and we see the ratio of these gases are equal. Hydrogen gas must be the limiting reactant here. So if we have if we consider this ratio as 1 centimeter cube for hydrogen gas, and then we have 2 centimeter cube of HCl. 1 centimeter cube produces 2 centimeter cube, therefore 10 centimeter cube produces 20. So they are saying at the end of the reaction it's 40, it's not 20, and all the hydrogen has reacted. Some of the chlorine will be left, and we have excess of chlorine. So if I will subtract 20 from 40, 40 minus 20 will get 20. So 20 centimeter cube must be of chlorine that will be left at the end of the reaction. And we know that the ratio, combining ratio for hydrogen and chlorine is 1:1. 1:1. So if you have 10 centimeter cube of hydrogen, it must be reacting with 10 centimeter cube of chlorine. So you will add 10 in 20, and we will get what? We will get 30 centimeter cube. So 30 centimeter cube must be the right answer.
Welcome to Chain of Qualified Tutors. Unlock your academic potential with expert tutoring, from secondary school to graduation level. Master math, science, English, and more with personalized one-on-one guidance. Call or WhatsApp for a free demo session. We offer on-site and online tuition.
Number 13. 100 centimeter cube of aqueous potassium hydroxide with a concentration of 1 mole per dm cube reacts with excess dilute sulfuric acid. So is the reaction equation. You see in the reaction 2 moles of KOH, that is aqueous potassium hydroxide, reacting with 1 mole of sulfuric acid or H2SO4. 3.48 gram of pure anhydrous potassium sulfate is produced. What is the percentage yield of potassium sulfate? So we have to follow this relationship. Moles, we need moles of K2SO4. So from the information given in the question, that is 100 centimeter cube aqueous potassium hydroxide with concentration of 1 mole per dm cube, it's reacting. So we need to find the moles of potassium hydroxide. So moles of KOH. 1 mole per dm cube means 1000 centimeter cube contains 1 mole. 1 mole. Therefore, 100 centimeter cube contains X moles. X is equal to 100 divided by 1000. You will get 0.1 moles of KOH. Now, the relationship that is between KOH and K2SO4, 2 moles producing 1 mole, therefore 0.1 mole produces X mole. So X is equal to 0.1 multiplied by 2, and it will definitely becomes 0.05 moles. Now we have 0.05 moles of KOH. K2SO4. These are the moles of K2SO4. We need to find the MR of K2SO4 first. MR of K2SO4 first. So here's K. Nucleon number is 39. Sulfur. Here's sulfur. Nucleon number is 32. What about oxygen? Nucleon number or mass number is 16. So 39 multiplied by 2 plus 32 plus 16 multiplied by 4. This becomes 78 plus 32 plus 64. 78 plus 32 plus 64, and we'll get 174. Now for the mass of K2SO4, we need to multiply the moles by the MR. Mass is equal to 174 into 0.05. What we will get? 8.7 grams. Now they gave 3.48 grams. So final calculation, 3.48 will be multiplied by 100 divided by 8.7 in order to get the percentage yield of potassium sulfate. 3.48 multiplied by 100 divided by 8.7, 40. So D must be the right answer in this case. 14. Which statement about electrolysis is correct? A. Negative anions move towards the positive cathode. Remember, anions move towards anode, and anode is not negative, it's positive electrode. So this is incorrect straight away. A. Negative cations we can't have negative cations. Cations are always positively charged particles. So this is also incorrect. No need to read the other words. C, positive anions. Anions must be carrying negative charge. So this is also incorrect. Positive cations move towards the negative cathode. This must be the right answer. Because positive cation, they move towards cathode, and cathode is negative electrode. So only D is the right response in this case. Number 15. The diagram shows an electrolysis experiment using inert electrodes. So we have aqueous copper 2 sulfate electrolyte and dilute sulfuric acid electrolyte. Which row shows what happens to the concentration of the electrolyte in L and in M as the electrolysis proceeds? Now they have used inert electrodes, which means we will get the conventional products at both the electrodes. So in case of aqueous copper 2 sulfate, we will be getting copper at cathode and oxygen and water at anode. What about sulfuric acid? In sulfuric acid we'll get hydrogen at cathode and same products at anode. So the concentration of both the electrolyte will definitely does not stay constant. So we must be having cross for both L and M in these choices. So A must be the right answer in this case. Moving to next MCQ. Which row is correct for a chemical reaction in which delta H is negative? Delta H is negative means it must be exothermic. So type of reaction is exothermic. So either B is correct or C is correct. Both A and D is incorrect. No need to read the details. You see, I have narrowed down the choices. Now it will become easier for you to choose the best answer. For B, they are saying energy of bonds broken is less than energy of bonds formed. This looks correct to me. For convenience, I am reading the statement for C also. Energy of bonds broken greater than energy of bond formed. This is true for endothermic. So this is incorrect. B is the right answer in this case. MCQ number 17. The diagram shows apparatus used to investigate two different reactions that produce gases. So we have 5 grams of solid X and 100 centimeter cube, 1 mole per dm cube HCl is added. Here we are having balance. The reactants for each experiment are mixed and the mass of flask plus contents for each experiment is recorded every 30 seconds. A graph of the mass against time is drawn. In experiment 1, solid X is calcium carbonate. In experiment 2, solid X is magnesium. Which graph is correct? For convenience, I am going to write the reaction for this. So for experiment 1, we have CaCO3 plus HCl. You will get calcium chloride CaCl2 plus CO2 plus H2O. Now balance the equation. We place 2. Okay, for magnesium, it's reacting with HCl, producing magnesium chloride MgCl2 plus H2 gas. Again, we need to balance it. You see the number of moles of hydrochloric acid is same in both the cases. Which graph is correct? Now they are saying mass of contents, mass of flask plus contents on y-axis and time on x-axis. So you have 2 experiments. In both the experiment, gas is produced, but in case of experiment 1, you have only one gas product. This will be released to the atmosphere. In case of experiment 2, hydrogen gas is the only gas produced. This will also be released in the atmosphere. So the mass of the contents for experiment 2, that's the degrees in mass for experiment 2, must be less as compared to experiment 1. The reason is that if you compare the volume of these gases, so carbon dioxide having higher volume, higher mass, which is 44. For hydrogen it's 2. For carbon dioxide it's 44 grams per mole. For hydrogen it's just 2 grams. So the decrease in mass in case of experiment 1 will be higher as compared to experiment 2. So C must be the right answer in this case. In a closed flask, gases Q and R reach a dynamic equilibrium. Q gas, reversible sign, 2R gas, delta H is positive. Positive means it must be endothermic. Which change will move the equilibrium to the right hand side? Right hand side means we need higher amount of this R. A, adding a catalyst. Catalyst only increases the rate of reaction. So this can't be the right choice. B, decreasing the temperature. If you decrease the temperature, it will shift the dynamics of the equilibrium to the side which favors exothermic. So if right side is endo, so left must be exo. So here must be delta H negative, which means exothermic. So it will shift to left hand side, not to the right hand side. This is also incorrect. C, increasing the pressure. Increase the pressure will shift the equilibrium to the side with less volume of gas. So we have gases on both sides. If you look at the ratio of the gases, it will be like this, 1 and 2. So it will definitely shift to the left hand side if you increase the pressure. So this is also incorrect. D must be the right answer, because if you increase the volume of the flask, it will shift the equilibrium to the side in which we are having increasing the volume means less pressure. The pressure will be decreased. So it will shift to the right hand side of the equation. So D must be the right answer in this case. Which row shows the typical conditions used for the conversion of sulfur dioxide to sulfur trioxide in the contact process? This is something which you have to learn by heart. You know the catalyst used in the conversion of sulfur dioxide to sulfur trioxide is vanadium 5 oxide. So no need to check A and B, both are incorrect. Either C is correct or D is correct. And the pressure, we have to maintain the low pressure in this case. So for 19, D must be the right answer. It's 200 kPa or 2 atm. C is incorrect. 20. The pH of dilute ethanoic acid is measured. The equation for the partial dissociation of ethanoic acid is shown. Aqueous sodium ethanoate CH3COONA is added to the dilute ethanoic acid and the pH is measured again. What is the initial pH of the dilute ethanoic acid and how does it change after the addition of the aqueous sodium ethanoate? Now sodium ethanoate is a salt. What will happen if you will add sodium ethanoate? So if you will add sodium ethanoate, the pH must be increasing as it will shift the equilibrium to the left hand side, not the right hand side. It's a salt. The salt of this ethanoic acid, sodium ethanoate. So it will shift the equilibrium to the left hand side, which means the pH will increase. pH increase. Decreasing pH means you will be having more H positive ion, but this is not the case here. Concentration H ions decreases. So, and the initial pH for ethanoic acid, it's a weak acid, so it must be having 3 to 4, either 3 to 4. Initial pH must be 3 to 4. So either A is correct or B is correct. C and D is incorrect. And as I've already explained, the pH will increase, so A must be the right answer in this case. Moving to next MCQ, which is 21. Which element reacts with oxygen to produce an amphoteric oxide? What are amphoteric oxide? Amphoteric oxides behave both as acidic and basic oxide. So in our syllabus we are having Al2O3 as amphoteric oxide, aluminum oxide, zinc oxide ZnO, and lead oxide PbO. So obviously D must be the right answer in this case. No need to look in the details of this. 22. Element X is in period 2 of the periodic table. X reacts with magnesium to form an ionic compound with the formula MgX2. What is X? Now X is in period 2 and is reacting with magnesium to forming ionic compound. So it must be non-metal. And they have given the formula MgX2. So Mg, we know that Mg belongs to group 2. So it must be having +2 as its valency. What about the valency of that non-metal X? It must be 1. So -1. So it's in period 2. We have period 1. This is period 1. First period. Second period. And -1 valency, we know that it's of group 7. So fluorine is in group 7. It's having -1 as its valency. We have fluorine. Yes, we have fluorine here. So B must be the right answer in this case. 23. Rubidium is an element in group 1 of the periodic table. Which statement about rubidium is correct? It's in group 1. Here's rubidium. It has a higher melting point than potassium. You know the trend in group 1. The melting point decreases down the group. It does not increase. So this is all incorrect. Melting point must be lower than potassium. B. It reacts with water to produce an acidic solution. This is also incorrect. It produces alkaline solution because we'll be getting hydroxides. Hydroxide means solution will be alkaline. C. It reacts with water to produce oxygen gas. This is also incorrect. It produces hydrogen gas, not oxygen gas. D. It's more reactive than potassium. This is correct because if you look at this group 1, the reactivity increases down the group. So this must be the right answer for 23. Moving to next MCQ. Which statement is correct? Noble gases are unreactive because they all have 8 electrons in their outer shells. Now group 8, they are the noble gases. We have helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon, organoson. Now they all does not have 8 valence electrons. The reason is that helium is the only one. It's having 2 valence electrons or 2 electrons in their outer shell. So A is incorrect. Although this one is correct, this initial statement, noble gases are unreactive, but this reason, because they all have 8 electrons in their outer shell, this is incorrect. B. The group 7 element acetine AT2 is expected to be a black solid at room temperature. This looks correct to me. Let's check this out. Group 7. What's happening in group 7? So we have fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, acetine, and tennessine. Fluorine, light yellow gas, chlorine, yellow-green gas, bromine, reddish-brown liquid, iodine, gray-black or purple solid. Acetine can be black solid. So this looks correct to me. For your convenience, I am checking the other statements. See, the reactivity of the elements in both group 1 and group 7 increases down the group. This is incorrect. The reactivity only increases for group 1, not for group 7. So this is incorrect. D. When aqueous chlorine is added to aqueous potassium bromide, there is no change in color. This is incorrect because if you look at this group 7, chlorine, here's chlorine, chlorine is above bromine, so it will definitely displace bromine, or it will react with aqueous potassium bromide. So you can't say there isn't any change in color. The change in color will definitely happen. So A, C and D both all are correct. Only B is the right answer in this case. So 25. M is a metal that forms colored compounds. M is extracted from its oxide either by heating with carbon or by electrolysis. M reacts with dilute hydrochloric acid. What is M? Now the first information is that M is a metal that forms colored compounds. So it must be transition element. So if you look at the choices in options, we are having copper, magnesium and iron. So copper, here is copper and iron. Both of these belongs to transition element group. This is transition elements. Transition elements. Or magnesium, here's magnesium. Magnesium is in group 2. So you can't have magnesium as your correct choice. So automatically A and C is incorrect. Either B is correct or D is correct. You see, I've narrowed down the choices because they have already mentioned that they are forming and the metal is forming colored compounds. So this is a property of transition element. M is extracted from its oxide either by heating with carbon or by electrolysis. So we know that for electrolysis we go for we use this method for highly reactive metals, for highly or moderately reactive metals, meaning that reactive metals need to be extracted through this method. The last point, that M is reacting with dilute hydrochloric acid. We know that only iron reacts with dilute hydrochloric acid. Copper will react with concentrated acid, not dilute acid. So D must be the right answer in this case. You can't have B as your correct response. 26. Which statement about brass is correct? Brass is an alloy. So it's very easy. B must be the right answer. It's not a compound. It's not an isomer. It's not an isotope. 27. Iron is galvanized with zinc to prevent rusting. Which type of protection is provided by galvanizing? So does galvanizing form alloy? Oh, this is incorrect. B, barrier and sacrificial. This looks correct to me. It's a barrier between iron and the air, and it also offers sacrificial protection because if it's scratched, it will start reacting or oxidizing in preference to iron. So this looks correct to me. C, barrier only. D, sacrificial only. So it must be B in case of 27. Moving to next MCQ. Iron is extracted from its ore hematite in a blast furnace. Which statement about this extraction process is correct? A, air is blown into the blast furnace to react with carbon. This looks correct to me. For your convenience, I am checking the other statements. B, at the bottom of the blast furnace, a layer of molten iron floats on top of a layer of molten slag. No, iron is heavier and slag is lighter than iron. So slag will float on top of iron. So this is incorrect. C, limestone is decomposed in the blast furnace to produce carbon monoxide. Limestone, this is limestone, CaCO3. It will decompose to produce calcium oxide and carbon dioxide, not carbon monoxide. So this is also incorrect. D, silicon dioxide, an impurity in the ore, is a basic oxide. This is incorrect. It's an acidic oxide. So only choice A is the right response here. 29. Chlorine and carbon are both used in the treatment of the domestic water supply. Which row describes one reason for the use of each substance? Chlorine. We know that chlorine is used to kill some microbes. It's not used to cause the sedimentation of some solid. So A and B both are incorrect. Either C is correct or D is correct. Now let's check for carbon. Now carbon, it removes taste from water. So C must be the right answer in this case. D is automatically incorrect. 30. Which row states an adverse effect for the named pollutant? Carbon dioxide, it increases plant growth. No, this is not the adverse effect. Adverse effect will be global warming. So A is incorrect. Methane causes cancer. This is also incorrect. It's responsible for global warming. C, oxides of nitrogen, photochemical smog. This looks correct to me. D, particulates cause acid rain. This is incorrect. Particulates are not responsible for acid rain. So C must be the right answer for MCQ number 30. MCQ number 31. Three statements about global warming and greenhouse gases are listed. 1. Global warming is occurring because more of the Earth's thermal energy is released to space. 2. Greenhouse gases both absorb and emit thermal energy. 3. Greenhouse gas levels in the atmosphere may be reduced by replacing fossil fuels with hydrogen. Which statements are correct? Now in the statement 1, they are saying global warming is occurring because more of the Earth's thermal energy is released into space. If it's releasing to the space, then global warming won't occur. So this is incorrect. So if 1 is incorrect, so automatically A, B and C is correct. D must be the right answer in this case. For your convenience, I am reading the statement number 2 and 3 again. Greenhouse gases both absorb and emit thermal energy. This is correct. They absorb and emit thermal energy. 3. Greenhouse gas levels in the atmosphere may be reduced by replacing fossil fuels with hydrogen. This is also correct. So D is the final answer here. 32. Which compound is an alcohol? You know that alcohol must be carrying OH. OH. It's an organic compound in which OH is attached directly to carbon. Remember, it's attached to carbon. Most probably the carbon must be having CH2, not C double bond O. Because if OH is attached to C double bond O, it becomes carboxylic acid. This is carboxylic acid. So, where we are having OH? You see, we are having OH in B. This is OH, as well as in C. But C is carboxylic acid. D and A are also incorrect. So B must be the right answer in this case. (33) An ester has the structural formula CH3, COO, CH2, CH2, CH3. What is the name of this ester? Now, in order to find the name of this ester, we need to divide it into two. One for the alkyl group. This part must be of the alkyl group. And this part must be of carboxylic acid. So for carboxylic acid, there are two carbon. So it means it must be coming from this acid, CH3COOH. So it's an ethanoic acid. So the choices in which ethanoic acid is there will be correct. So we are having ethanoid. So the carboxylic acid, it will become ethanoid here. Ethanoid. So we can see ethanoid. We have only one ethanoid here, C. So if C must be the right answer, for your convenience, I am checking the alkyl group also. Alkyl group, we have 3 carbons here. So it must be propanol. Coming from propanol, CH3, CH2, CH2OH. It's having 3 carbon. So it's a propyl. It must be propyl ethanoate. So C is the right answer in this case. All the other choices are incorrect. 34. Petroleum is separated into fractions in a fractionating column. Which property of the fractions increases from the bottom to the top of the column? So if you go from bottom to the top of the column, the boiling point will increase, volatility will increase, boiling point will decrease, volatility will increase, carbon chain length will decrease, viscosity will decrease. So I'm checking the statement. Say boiling point, will it increase? Boiling point? No, it does not increase. Chain length, it does not increase. Viscosity, it does not increase. Only volatility increases. So D must be the right answer for 34. Moving to next MCQ. 3 statements about alkanes are listed. 1. They contain carbon and hydrogen only. 2. They contain only single covalent bonds. Number 3. They are saturated hydrocarbons. Which statements are correct? So if you see, all these 3 statements are correct. 1, 2 and 3. So A must be the right answer in this case. No need to check the other choices. 36. The flow chart shows some reactions of hydrocarbons. You see, saturated hydrocarbon with large molecules gone through process 1 to form unsaturated hydrocarbons with small molecules. Then this unsaturated hydrocarbons with small molecules undergone process, which is missing here, and it's reacted with hydrogen, and they have mentioned condition 2 to produce saturated hydrocarbons with small molecules. Which row is correct? They are asking what is the process if you are converting saturated hydrocarbon into unsaturated. It must be cracking. So either A is correct or C is correct. B and D is incorrect. Now what about condition 2? In condition 2, we are converting unsaturated hydrocarbons to the saturated hydrocarbon, which is done by heating with nickel catalyst, not with acid catalyst. So A must be the right answer in this case. (37) The structure of a condensation polymer is shown. Which 2 monomers form this polymer? Now I'm breaking down this polymer into repeat units. So we have one repeat unit here and other repeat unit here. Now I'm writing down there the formula of the monomers for this. So it must be H2N, CH2 and H2. And for the other one we have HOOC, we have CH2, CH2. Then again we are having COOH. So if you look at the choices, choice C seems to be correct here. All the other choices are incorrect. These monomers will form this polymer. 38. A titration is completed. 25 centimeter cube of aqueous sodium hydroxide is added to a conical flask. A few drops of methyl orange indicator are added. Dilute hydrochloric acid is added slowly to the mixture until the color changes. Which row is correct? Now, in column A, we have apparatus used to add alkali. It must be volumetric pipette. So either A is correct, C is correct, D is correct, B is incorrect. What about the apparatus used to add acid? It must be burette. Now, so D is incorrect. We are left with A and C. Now, this is something which you have to learn by heart. Color change. The color change for for the methyl orange, as we have added acid to alkali, so the final color must be orange for acid. So C must be the right answer here. 39. An impure sample of compound X has a melting point of 120 degrees centigrade. X is purified and its melting point is measured again. Which row is correct? Now they have mentioned melting point. Melting point means it must be that impure sample must be in the solid state. Must be solid. Fine, they have mentioned the melting point of impure sample, and we know that the impurity lowers the melting point. Impurity lowers the melting point. So the original melting point must be higher than this one. So which row is correct? First of all, they are asking method of purifying X. So if it's a solid, you can't have distillation. C and D is incorrect. Either A is correct or B is correct. What about the melting point? It must be higher than this 120 degrees centigrade. So A must be the right answer in this case. Moving to last MCQ 40. Samples of two compounds P and Q are tested. The result of each test is shown. In the test, we are adding dilute hydrochloric acid, and P, it gives gas given off that turns lime water milky. For Q, no observable changes. So P must be having carbonate. P must be having carbonate here. Moving to next test. Acidify with dilute nitric acid, then add aqueous barium nitrate. P, no precipitate forms. So sulfate is absent. Barium nitrate is used to test the presence of sulfate ion. Q gives white precipitate, so it must be having sulfate ion, SO4 minus 2. Then test, add aqueous sodium hydroxide. P, no observable change. Q gives green precipitate and soluble in excess. So green precipitate and soluble in excess, it means must be having chromium 3 plus ion or plus 3 ion. Then the test is add aqueous ammonia. P, no observable change. Q, green precipitate insoluble in excess. Chromium 3 ion is confirmed. For the flame test, P gives lilac flame. It must be of potassium ion. Q, no, not tested. Which row shows the identities of the ions present in P and Q? P is having K positive and carbonate ion. So either B is correct or C is correct. Both A and D is incorrect. What about Q? It contains Cr3 plus and SO4 2 minus ion. So C must be the right answer in this case. Thanks for watching. Press like and share my videos. For more videos, subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon.